Hi guys, Lori here, Happy Picker, and it has been a while since I've done a video. I know it's been months. I didn't mean for it to be that long. I'll tell you what I've been up to and what's been going on in our life and what's coming up in the middle of this video, but let's start with sharing what sold this weekend. Here we go. These first two lots aren't even a business sale. Football cards, Chiefs, John Elway, my husband, Grumpy, is cleaning out his collection of baseball and football cards. So all these cards sold for $45, two separate sales. But we won't count them in our business income because it's a personal sale and we try to keep that separate. But it is going out this weekend. So there's that. Okay, this next sale is just a big lot of Coca-Cola stuff. So even though it's been months since I posted a video, I'm still selling Coke stuff. And if you've watched my videos before, you would maybe already know that we bought a huge lot of Coca-Cola collectibles from a collector who had passed. Actually, his brother sold us his collection. And we sold a lot of the higher dollar stuff individually and made back our money and then some. And then we had a whole bunch of stuff that really wasn't worth listing by itself. And we could have donated it, but instead we decided we're gonna just lot it up. So I think I have like 20 things in this box, just various Coca-Cola things. A lot of them are new, some have minor flaws. And we've been just hoping to get like $15 a lot. It's not hard to take pictures and ship a big group. So we sold it for $15. There's a lot more still to sell. I'm getting kind of tired of the Coke stuff, but we're still making money on it. All right, back up here on top. These were not listed for very long. So this lot of tins sold in just a few days. I may have undersold this. I sold it for $19.99 and quickly. I forgot that I actually had paid $6 for all this stuff, and considering how fast it sold, I probably could have gotten some more money. Probably left money on the table on these, but I still made money. Okay, these, I have 3 separate bags of them. Valentine's. I actually bought these a few months ago at an auction, and I paid up on these. I paid $30 because I've had experience with vintage Valentines before. They can sell really well, especially the mechanical ones or the ones with the honeycomb. These didn't have very many of those in there, so I was taking a little bit more of a chance. But still, these date from the 20s through the 60s. I lotted them up into groups of 40 or 45. This one had 45. These both had 40. And I sold them for $30 each. Plus, I still have some listed that haven't sold. So, even though I paid up, I've already made $90 on my $30 investment. And more to come. Okay, this next thing, Grumpy Picker decided to pick up. Grumpy might have been feeling a little nostalgic when he found this book from the 1980s. It is not in great condition, and it did only cost 50 cents, but it only sold for $4.99. However, it did sell pretty quick. Less than, I think, 5 days it sold. So that surprised me because the sell-through rate on this book is not that fantastic. But at least he made a little. Okay, this last thing happens to be some Creative Memories stuff. Creative Memories This actually is the very last Creative Memories that I bought in a huge bundle lot that I bought in an estate sale well over a year ago. And I made a lot of money on that stuff. And there was less desirable stuff that I kind of grouped up, kind of like the Coke stuff. Grouped up the less desirable stuff. This sold for $9.99. Not big money, but pure profit at this point. And I'm done with that bundle. Okay, next up, hiding back here is a teapot. Teapots can be hit or miss. And in fact, more often than not, I've found them to be a miss. But this one we got in an estate sale clear out. So we didn't have very much in it because we were getting everything for one price. So I take that kind of stuff, I look it up and decide whether it's worth my time. And this sold for $19.99. And it's Hall, H-A-L-L, which was why I thought it might be worth listing. It sold in 10 days, so I'm happy with that. And I probably made $18 worth of profit. Gross. From that same estate sale clear out, I have another ceramic thing here. This is kind of cool. See the bird? And it's old. You can see the crackling and the glaze. They call that crazing. This came from the same estate sale buyout. Have a little more invested in it. We kind of just attribute cost randomly or based upon a percentage of what we think we're going to get overall for everything we took home. So we have a little less than $5 invested in this. It sold for $24.99 and it only took about 5 days also. So quick sales, not huge money, but quick sales make me happy. All right, I actually forgot. We have more Coca-Cola stuff that sold. Yeah. 6 different Santa Coca-Cola ornaments in their boxes, sold after Christmas for $20. Again, we're not selling huge dollar Coca-Cola lots, but they just keep selling. So I'm gonna just keep listing them. All right, back on the same shelf where I found that teapot is a doll that just sold. Okay, I actually don't even remember where we got this, but we've had it listed for just shy of a year. I listed it in February of last year, and it's January, what is today, 18th? Something like that. Anyway, listed just shy of a year. And we had 50 cents into this. Anyhow, it did sell for $15, which is kind of really our bare minimum of what we want to sell. Although we sometimes do sell things for less, as you've seen, but it was a long tail item. We don't do great with dolls. Not sure why we thought we needed this one, but we made money. All right, let's take a break and talk about where I've been and what's been going on. I didn't mean to take a long hiatus from doing videos, but sometimes life just interrupts things. I'm not making money making these videos, so it's not like it's impacting me financially, and I just had too many things going on to make this a priority. However, I did miss it. I do enjoy doing it, even if it's not making me any money right now. I hope you get some value from what we're doing. But what have I been doing? Well, see, middle of September, we went on a highway sale, Highway 36 across Kansas. We spent 2 nights in hotels, and we went with friends, and we had a lot of fun, and we picked up a lot of stuff, and I recorded a lot of material that I started trying to edit, and it just I don't know, it was just cumbersome. And I just don't do those videos very often, and the editing takes longer. It just slowed me down, and I never got even one completely done from 3 days of garage sale footage. Well, 2 days, I guess. So that kind of slowed me down. And then fourth quarter's on us. Fourth quarter is just busy. October, November, December, it's the best quarter of year for a reseller. So I felt like I needed to be spending my time listing as much as I could, and just didn't get back to doing the videos. And then Thanksgiving was upon us, and then we took a trip to Europe. So we were gone for 15 days for that. Then we came back and we're trying to get ready for Christmas. Then my mother-in-law got sick and she passed away recently. And so it's just been in this last week that things are getting back to normal for us. And I say that, but we're gonna have a new normal this year, I think. I don't know how many of you know. I don't know how much we've talked about it, or if we've talked about it. Well, we have talked about Grumpy Picker wants to quit his job. It's been our goal for a long time for Kyle to be able to quit his job and come home and do all this with me and do it full time. We want to sell our house and move and be like kind of equal distance between all of our kids, which none of them are too far. The furthest one away is about an hour and a half. But we'd like to find a place somewhere in the middle so that we're kind of close. I know there's no promises that they'll all stay there, but by selling our house and downsizing a little bit, we should be able to be completely debt-free, no mortgage at all. That's the goal. So we've been looking at houses, but we've been looking at buildings. Kyle has this vision, which I love, of us buying an old building in a downtown of a small town, running our business out of the bottom of it, and then living upstairs. We've been looking since last May, I think, to kind of just see what's out there and what's available. It's hard to find the right thing. We thought we had found the right thing, and we were under contract, and then it fell through. And then we thought we found the right thing, and we were under contract, and it fell through. And then we looked at some more properties, and then we've reconsidered the property that we were under contract on, and we just have not made a decision yet. And we don't know what's coming, except that we do expect 2026 to be a year of change. And one way or another, we're really hoping that we're going to be moving this year. Kyle's going to be quitting his job. We're going to be reselling full time. So there's just been a lot going on. Emotionally, physically, leaving the country. So that's where we've been. That's where I've been. And Kyle's not with me today because he's working still. And it's hard to always get him in these videos. But maybe the next one. Also, this weekend has not been a tremendous weekend of sales. There are quite a lot of sales, but they're just not big sales. I'll summarize at the end, kind of show you where we landed for the weekend, but let's get back to showing you what's sold. All right, this next sale is actually a Poshmark bundle sale that starts with this lion, and this pink sheet is the next part of the bundle. And this camera is the last thing in the bundle. So, a very random lot for Poshmark. Very different. $72.25 is what they paid for all of this, because I have 15% off of bundles that are bought on Poshmark. I'm hoping this is going to be less than 5 pounds. It's going to be close. If it goes over 5 pounds, I have to pay extra for shipping, and that doesn't make me happy. I don't know. Do you guys know about Poshmark and how to best make that work if somebody buys a bundle from you that's over 5 pounds? Because if it's for every pound over 5 pounds, you pay like an extra $4.50 for shipping. So if this is 7 pounds, which it could be, that cost me an extra $9 in shipping. If it's 8 pounds, it's going to cost me $13.50 in shipping. That is huge when you're you know, having to eat that cost. Anyway, I do price things up when I list them on Poshmark, compared to what like our business model is. We list everything on eBay, then we use Vendoo to cross list across all the platforms we sell on, and I adjust prices as I'm doing that. And on Poshmark, I up those prices a little bit because it seems to me that 75% of the time on Poshmark, I'm taking offers. And there's the chance of bundles and being discounted 15% for the bundles. So I just price those things up. That gives me some room, some margin to come down and still be where I want to be. So technically, I price these up, and so even with the 15% off, I'm getting what I would have gotten had they sold on eBay. But it's going to be that shipping that might kind of hurt. Not quite sure yet. We'll see. I'll update you here on how many pounds it was. All right, the next thing is a little sale of a little item, this compact. All right, so this little Art Deco compact picked up at an in-person auction. It was in a group of, I think, jewelry, and I buy too much jewelry. I have so much to sell. That's another story, I guess. But this I attributed $3.50 in cost to, and sold it for $19.99 on Mercari. Occasionally we sell stuff on Mercari, and it only took about 4 days. So I'm happy with that quick flip. All right, this next thing that sold is this Coleman drink cooler. Turns out this probably was not a great purchase. I don't know why we buy things sometimes. I don't know who picked this up, if it was me or Kyle. But this has damage right here. Had it not been damaged, it probably would have been better. But we paid $5 for this. And I sold it for $29.50. However, that was on Etsy. And on Etsy, I only charge a flat $5 to ship things. And this, because of its size, this is going to cost me at least $15 to ship. So maybe I'll make $19.50 before fees, but we paid $5, so I don't know. I mean, we sold a book for $5, but that book's going to be a lot easier to pack than this is going to be. I wouldn't recommend. The last thing I have is actually another bundle, only this time it's an Etsy bundle. So it's this little dish, which is not in great condition, but it's old. And over here, we've got this clawfoot tub brass soap dish. Actually glad to sell these as a bundle. This is nice, but let's talk about this one first. This is not as nice. And I have very little in this. Again, I didn't look to see where I got this, and I don't really remember because it's been for sale for over a year. So I got $15 on Etsy in this bundle just for this, and I'm very happy about that because it probably would have been getting donated soon. This, however, has not been listed very long. Just listed this a week ago, and it sold for $69.99 on Etsy. So great combo. The way Etsy bundles shipping, usually it's $5 for the first item. Combined, they pay $8 for shipping. So $70, basically $70, plus $15, $85, plus $8 shipping for these items. And we didn't have very much in this either, like $4. Good sale. That's a wrap for this weekend. Again, I didn't have very many high dollar sales. In fact, I think that was the highest dollar sale right there, was the brass soap dish for $70. The next highest was the camera, which was right around $50 just for it, $49 and some change. Everything else was less than that. I had quite a few lower dollar sales, including that $5 book and some $10 creative memories. So this weekend we actually had 21 separate listings that sold. So 21 listings, but our total gross sales before collecting shipping or paying for labels or taking out fees, was $472. That's an average of about $22.50 per item. Not bad, but we want it to be better, especially if we're going to try to support ourselves full time. And also, there is so much ebb and flow in this business. January, surprisingly, is usually one of our better months of the year. You'd think things would drop way off after the fourth quarter, but the last several years, our January has been one of our highest months of the year. This weekend was not impressive, $472. But last weekend, we were at $854, and the weekend before that, we were at over $1,200. We had a couple big sales those weekends, which really helped push those numbers up. I like those big sales, but I also like having bigger weekends like that. We need to have bigger days to have this support us. So we're working on it. We're gonna get there. I believe we can do it. It's not easy. As you can see, we have a lot of inventory. We currently only have about, I think, well, we're close to 800 listings. I did hit 1,000 listings at one point this fall, but then just like with life and getting busy, I wasn't able to keep up. We were selling a lot, which was great. We were selling a lot, and so my number of listings came down, and I just haven't been able to replace them all yet, but I'm working on it. I hope you found something educational today. I hope you learned about something to buy, to keep an eye out on, or not to buy and waste your time on, because we do have those too. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys being here, especially if you're here all the way to the end. If you're still here and you have not yet hit that like or subscribe, would really appreciate it. And until next time, happy picking, my friends.